Morgan is a smart single mom of 3. She's a cleaner at night at a police station. When she knocks over some files, she learns about the case of the murder of Anthony Acosta. He has a wife, Lynette Acosta, who is the main suspect. Morgan is very smart and finds out that Lynette is actually the victim, and with a red marker corrects the mistake on the case board. Inspector Karadik is angry about Morgan's correction and brings her to the station for tampering with evidence. There Morgan explains that she saw one of the curtains had a tieback missing, which is very suspicious since the rest of the house was immaculate, and that some hair on the chair indicates someone's ankles were taped to a chair, and since the male victim's ankles didn't show they had been taped, there must have been a third person there. Therefore, the wife was most likely a victim too. Security footage of the front door just before the murder caught Lishka Zhang on camera. She had lost a civil lawsuit against Brian Diamond for sexually assaulting her. Lynette Acosta had defended Brian Diamond as a lawyer. She thought at the time that Lishka Zhang was just an employee with a grudge. But Morgan luckily notices that wind in the footage was blowing in the wrong direction for that time of the day. This means the timestamps on the footage were tampered with, and this makes Lishka Zhang no longer a suspect. Morgan has a nice neighbor, Henry, that often babysits on her kids free of charge. She also gets help from Ludo, her ex and biological father of her 2 youngest kids, a baby girl and a smart boy. They're co-parenting the 3 kids. Letty Acosta tells Inspector Karadak that her mother Lynette was upset for days after receiving a letter from a certain Sarah, and that this Sarah killed herself soon after that. That letter is in the office of the law firm where Lynette worked. The police can't get a warrant, but Morgan, dressed as a cleaning lady, is able to read it. It turns out Sarah had been sexually assaulted by Brian Diamond too. Sophia claims she didn't hear her sister Lynette talk about the letter of Sarah and her suicide, which Morgan immediately finds suspicious as the 2 sisters spoke each other often. GPS positioning records show that Brian Diamond wasn't near the murder. He was in the city of Fontana. Morgan finds it very odd that a rich, stylish guy like him would go to a tacky city like that. And Morgan also remembers seeing a brand new small souvenir bought in Fontana by Sophia, Lynette's sister. So she thinks that Brian and Sophia were having an affair. And that is how Brian found out about Lynette feeling very guilty about Sarah's suicide. So Brian and Sophia went to Lynette's house to put pressure on her and ended up killing the couple. They seem to have alibis, but Morgan noticed the flowers withered a day early, and that the house can be turned into a fridge. So she thinks that Brian, after the murder, probably turned the room into a fridge and then remotely turned up the temperature to very warm, which messed with the flowers' freshness and fooled the coroners to estimate the time of death to be a day earlier. Later, the police find Lynette tied up but alive in the home where the sisters grew up. Case solved. Karadak is a strict above-board inspector, but he now understands the value that Morgan can bring. His boss gives Morgan a job offer, which she accepts on the condition of 20% more, daycare for her kids, and a promise that the police will help her solve the sudden disappearance of the father of her oldest child 15 years ago. The daughter feels her dad left her, but Morgan explains that he loved her and just vanished.